What's going on there, everyone, and welcome back to the video from the Demon Overlord. And today, guys, it's another guide to miniatures from your friendly neighborhood Overlord. And we're going to be talking about 40k. And this one, I just have a little bit of a setup of a skirmish here between some members of my unique custom chapter versing off against two terrifying giant Tyranid monsters, the Carnifex and the terrifying Trigon. And oh boy, this would be a fight that only my special unique chapter could survive. But getting off topic. Now we're going to be talking about the 40k miniatures. What do I think of them? Their price, compatibility, economy, and all that kind of good stuff. So let's get into it. Now, when you're talking about 40k, you're talking about a lot of money. Oh man, a lot of money GW has earned from it, from their loyal fans who always literally go, "Yes, GW, we bow and serve you like good little boys." And GW's like, yes, that's good and all, but don't expect us to give a crap. Your loyalty is expected. Yeah, unfortunately 40k and Games Workshop happens to not really care about their fans. We've established as many times they don't really care what the fans actually want, what they say, because they do whatever they want anyway. Shocking surprise. But don't get me wrong. The miniatures are really good. There's a lot of cool things going on. You get cool weapons, cool looking poses, some cool miniatures that really, when you put them on the board, you feel that cool, grimdarky feel. But then you leave the lore nowadays, go, yeah, the lore is getting less grimdark and more just standard war. Like, where'd the grimdark go? Tyranids definitely bring that grimdark because they're aggressive, violent monsters that want to rip across, destroy everything, and conquer the universe. The, Imperium of Man is basically right now going like, no, please, stop rampaging upon us, Tyranids, Eldar, Xenos of all sorts, and you awful, awful chaos demons. God dang it. But, I really gotta say, so compatibility-wise, are all Warhammer figures really compatible with other games? Space Age maybe. Orcs might be a little bit acceptable into some of the more fantasy worlds if you're getting more of those ones who are wearing a bunch of scrap and stuff where they're just wearing metal chunks. You could definitely work them into a fantasy world. Can't really do it with all the Eldar. Some Eldar minis, yes, you could, because it's kind of cool. Now, of course, D&D, for instance, a Pathfinder, they do actually have dimensions outside of the Earth. So there is space, and you technically could have a Space Marine, technically in reality, fall from the sky and landing in a drop pod onto D&D's world. And, of course, now everyone would probably be all like, that Space Marine would rampage across and destroy the entire Dungeons & Dragons universe or Pathfinder universe like a complete boss. And I'd love to say, oh, yes, you're so right, you neckbeard Warhammer lover. But unfortunately, you're wrong. Anything like a dragon that came across a Space Marine would be ripped in half. It doesn't matter how strong you think a Space Marine is. A dragon is going to kind of go like, I don't know what this slightly taller thing is, but I've faced giants who've taken craps bigger than you, my friend. Come here and let me just tear you in half. Your armor means nothing, I'm sorry. It's like, dude, he can just roast you alive. And even if your armor somehow held up, you've been turned into literally a blood stew on the inside. Oh, that just sounds disgusting. You take the helmet off and blood stew leaks out. Oh, I mean, the dragon might drink it as like an energy drink. Like, pops the top on you. I just imagine a dragon like a red popping the top and drinking you down like a freaking bloody shake. Like, oh, bloody eat chili. Like, oh, nasty. But it's funny. Oh, anyway. And I know I'm probably going to get hit with that with someone going like, oh, but Warhammer, it wins over everything. Everyone knows that. Yeah, that's because everyone wants to go, yes, overpowered lore for Warhammer. Oh, yes, it so transfers. It doesn't. But the creatures are cool. I'll give them this. Any of the monsters I've seen in Warhammer 40k are pretty cool. You do get some really cool Tyranids. Like, I originally, when I bought Warhammer 40k stuff in general, now I was getting it because I am a mini guy and I don't have any. I was like, what kind of miniature guy really would go around and say, I've never had a Warhammer figure in my life, or Warhammer miniature? And you're like, oh man, that's an interesting hurdle to have to cross, get one just to make sure I have one. And so I eventually one day was on eBay and I saw like these Carnifexes and stuff that were really cool. And I was like, man, I kind of want one of those Carnifex. So I actually went and said, heck with it. I'm going to go and get me a Carnifex. And that was that one right there in the corner. He was the first Carnifex I ever got, the first Tyranid I ever bought. The Trigon there was actually my second. And that's because I found him on good deal. And the person's like, he is as is, you know, in the bot, or I'll send him all wrapped up. I did a little bit of flocking effort on his base. He just had rocks. I put a little bit of some dirt there and some skulls hidden amongst it. I really got to get around to finishing his base by putting some blood splatter and maybe even some like chunks. If I had any extra like Tyranid parts even, and just slap them on the base like at his feet. Just painted in gory blood. Like, this thing's eating everything he comes across and ripping apart through everything, either friend or foe. He doesn't care. It's a Trigon. Like, terrifying, earth-burrowing death worms. But, now I think the Tyranid big monsters like Carnifexes, Trigons, as long as they only have the claws and the sort of scythe blades and stuff, those could fit into another universe. But Tyranids like Tormagants, even Gene Stealers could. Gene Stealers could because they have a lot of those ones who just have like the crazy hands and they're running at you like savage beasts to grab you and rip you apart and eat you and kill you, whatever. But the Tyranids that have just the blades, they would fit into a Pathfinder, into D&D, into Starfinder. It's just terrifying, big, horrific monsters. Because even like Death Kingdom could probably take one of these and use it, since they have just terrifyingly aggressive, savage beasts that want to kill you as quick as look at you and eat you and turn you into nothing but a pile of crap. But when it comes to the creature, like the minis that are humanoids, Eldar might get away with it. Orcs maybe get away with it. Squats, or as I think they're called squats at 40k. I think those are all extinct, so they're kind of out of luck. I don't think those are even made anymore. You're better off just buying like any other wargaming dwarf to throw into D&D if you're really doing it. Now, I always compare some D&D guys. D&D is my favorite game for tabletopping. I love it. I love the play of it. I mean, other games I would play tabletopping. Would I try 40k? You know what? I'd give it a shot. Don't get me wrong. If I had a buddy who actually was around me who played 40k, he had a codex I could use to figure this stuff out, or I had a way to look this stuff up, I would do it. I would try it, and I'd probably get my teeth kicked in, or I'd probably, my army probably gets, its cheeks clapped pretty quick, or maybe I could put up a bit of a fight but still lose. I would have fun, because it's just the idea of playing would be fun. Otherwise, I have these minis that many of them I repainted for just nothing. And that's because I wanted them to match my chapter. Now, one mini on this board is not Games Workshop. And you can take guesses what it is. I mean, it's really not hard to figure out. But I'll leave it in the comments down below. See who gets it right first of which mini on this board is not Games Workshop. Like I said, it's not hard. If you know your Games Workshop minis, you're going to look pretty quick and just go like, oh, that one. You're going to know which. So that's just a little challenge to my viewers here. See who gets it right first. I'll give you I'll definitely be sending you some props if you do. And it's like Games Workshop just doesn't learn with their minis. Like, they could be really cool. And now that I hear the company is trying to back off on miniature production a little bit, they still want to make them, but they're going to limit the releases and make that sort of like hard to come by collectible status. And I don't like that, because Warhammer is now trying to get into the collectibles. Now, I had done a video in the past. I did it recently. Guys, check it out. It was on the, a while back I did one on the Warhammer McFarlane team up of the Sisters of Sororitas, or the Nuns with Guns, and then I also have the Space Marine, which is the Primaris Hellblaster from the Blood Angels chapter. I did a video on both of them. They were actually worth it, because like in the end I spent like $20 a piece on them, which is pretty fair nowadays for a good miniature with any good articulation, any good accessories, any good props. That's usually a good price. Like, I also did one on Anime Heroes. It's in that range where it would definitely be worth the time to put it on the shelf in just a simple pose and leave them there. Because, I mean, like, their posability was okay. The Adeptus Sororitas sister had way better movement and posability than the frickin' Blood Angel. And I've seen that with others, too. Like, the Blood Angel Lieutenant or whatever, I've heard his motion of movement is complete crap because of all of his accessories ruin it. He has, like, maybe a few poses, and that's it. Like, you literally can't pose him very much at all because of how his armor just gets in the way and he just becomes crap. Now, getting off the fact, I mean, I am going to throw in there, I want to give a quick shout out to Eons of Battle, who talks about Warhammer all the time. I do listen to him a lot. Major Kill, I'm giving you a shout out since this is on Warhammer 40k. Love your lore videos, man. They are really fun and enjoyable to listen to. I love turning those on to listen to while I'm driving. Like something to listen to in the background where I'm like, man, that's just funny. And he makes me laugh. Dude makes me laugh. You make me laugh, man. It's funny. Eons of Battle, you have good points too as well. I do like to sit down and watch yours more than I would drive because you show a lot of pictures and stuff like that. I do like to see what you're talking about. Then you have Commissioner Ganza. You also, I've been lately loving your stuff like what could survive in 40K. I'm just throwing these out there because I want to get some shout outs to some fellow YouTubers. Being a nice guy that I am, the Demon Overlord's a pretty nice guy. Unless you cross me, then you've gone too far. And I love how you've also kind of been giving your points on Warhammer. You've been helping me with a few others who've been keeping me in the loop of what's going on with GW. Because I look a little bit, but I'm not gonna spend hours searching up stuff. Because until YouTube becomes a full-time hobby, that ain't happening, or a full-time job, not happening. But moving on. Anyway, so back to the minis. We're getting back to the minis. I've gotten off topic now. Now this video is not gonna be super long because really it's just GW. What am I gonna say? What am I not going to say about it? Because, it's like, what am I going to say? Are they economically friendly for the tabletop or on the go and stuff? To go pick up and bring home and work on and then bring to a friend's house? In my opinion, yes, but no. The price ain't there to where you want to make them a normal grab off the shelf and throw in the cart to go buy at a game store or anything. But they are really cool and they do look really nice. Now, I see people who have these giant armies, and whoa, Eons of Battle has a gigantic, Death Guard army or whatever, and man, I give him props. That's a lot of mini painting. You will paint a lot of minis with Games Workshop, and you'll spend a lot of time on it. However, when you are done, you do get a lot of stuff, so it's tough to kind of think that way. It's really a matter of whether, like I said before, Death King, it's if you really want it. I'm not going to say no. If you're a big fan of the Warhammer 40K, go for it. Make that your game choice. But I prefer D&D because I like the versatility as well. If there's a mini that Games Workshop doesn't make and you've made it yourself, by, say, taking a Reaper Bones Ogre and putting some armor plates on him from GW's minis and turning him into an Ogren so you can have some cool Ogren that are different looking and you can are easily available. Yeah, don't go into GW with it because they're gonna look at you and go get that piece of trash out of here. I hate that. That kind of exclusive push bothers me. Now I am also gonna mention how GW doesn't like 3D printing. I guess from the standpoint, yeah, they're not gonna like it because they're like, ugh. Get out of our store. I've heard their new policy. If you go to a GW store, 3D printed stuff, they say, go put it in your vehicle and leave it out there, which of course, you're at this time of the year, you're holy crap, it's broiling out. It's 90 out there. If I put this in my car, he's going to melt and fall apart from melting. I'd rather not. Even if it's resin, you're no. And they're going to be well, too bad. If you bring it back in here or, you keep it, you're now banned from the store. Oh, I'm sorry, GW. It's what if I have this just to sit on the side as my cool little, placer topper. He sits next to me on the board just to give me that inspiration. I look at him and go full of the Imperium of man. If he's a space marine or stuff like that. No, still no. It's okay. But I bet if it came with 3D printed terrain, they might have to go no, you can't do that either. Why? Because we have terrain. Use our official terrain or don't play. It's God dang it. It's well, then make your stuff so affordable so people can have it. God, sorry, I'm ranting into my video. I shouldn't be doing that. I know. It's more about the minis. It's about the minis. Now, do I think they're good for compatibility? With Starfighter, yes. With Pathfinder, the monsters are sometimes, depending on what their loadouts are in the monsters. If you have guns and stuff, probably don't throw them into D&D. They're way too gun heavy, which D&D is not super gun heavy. Unless you want to have that universe where guns are a thing. Then it's fine. Of course, for Tyranids, they're more launchers than they are guns, aren't they? They just launch larvae and worms and spikes. So, maybe. Depends on how you want to play it. Depends on the DM wants to. Plus, they are just placeholders, guys. You always say, yeah, pretend the gun's not there. I'm not remaking this miniature just for this encounter. It's not happening. But I really do love, the fact of how inclusive D&D is to allow minis of other stuff to show up, but GW can't reciprocate that feeling. What a shame. Now, anyway, guys, so like I said, Games Workshop. Are the minis good? Yes. Their designs are good. They are nice. The Space Marines, however, and the orcs get very reused a lot, like they barely change. And the changes they make are so minimal, you're like, dude, I don't need this change to have this orc. I don't need this change to have this space marine. I could have made that myself with a little green stuff and added the flags to turn them into that. Or the little tapestries. It's like, or cloths or whatever. And it's like, it's kind of a shame. But it is what it is. Can't fight it, can't argue with it, because, you know, GW is going to do what they want. They don't care what their fans say. They seem to ignore everything. I mean, nowadays they're coming out with this new stupid Bandai, which I give Bandai credit. Bandai is a great company. They make really good stuff. They're making a Bandai exclusive Primaris captain for the Ultramarine captain, and he's just like, and I'm like, why is he like $240? Why? And then it's like, I've seen the Australians like $550. I'm like, what? I'm like, geez, like GW, stop it. You're making these collectibles that are not even that good. Like I said in my video, if I took that Hellblaster and put him up next to a Figma, I'd rather have the Figma. That thing is more expensive than Figmas. And those are some of the higher end anime / pop culture figures that are out there. Those things have so much posability, so much changeability with different heads and hands, faces, hairs, tons of stuff like that. And you're going to say like, oh, this thing deserves to be even more expensive than some of the most expensive Figma. I'm like, you know what, GW? You lost me. I got to admit that, guys. I don't buy from GW for that reason, too. I'll probably maybe, at most, the only thing I might ever buy for in the future of the minis for Games Workshop, I might want some Adeptus Sororitas. I want some Nuns with Guns because, A, I do have a Guardsman right there, and the Guardsmen are allowed. You know, regular humans can be allowed in this chapter. They just have to be a lot more to prove themselves. Like, they got to really prove themselves. But females, the Nuns with Guns are allowed. My group is not just a man's club. It's everyone of the Imperium, including Beastmen, Ogren, anything of the Imperium, even Eldar can join. That's the one thing why my chapter is probably... Now, I'm going to talk about my personal chapter just a little bit because that's what I buy my figures for. I buy for my chapter. And my Tyranids, I buy for Tyranids. Now, my chapter, unlike most, because it's homebrew, can actually have Eldar and Tau. Not orcs. Orcs don't work because most of them are savage, disgusting. Savages in my group ain't going to deal with the worry they're going to freak out and kill people. But they will definitely... They have actually added Eldar to the chapter. They've added Sisters of Battle, even Sisters of Silence, because, you know, there's nothing better than having some demons go up to... Or, you know, some Psychers and stuff running up and all that kind of stuff. And Sisters of Silence, somebody surprised them where they're like, what? Why are they here? Or Sisters of Battle, and they're like, what? Grey Knights, every type of chapter can be drawn in this, but you have to prove yourself. You do not join the Demonic Destroyers unless you're good. That's the chapter's true name, is the Demonic Destroyers, because these guys just rampage across the battlefield and they destroy. Like as if demons had destroyed this world, they destroy. Plus their chapter captain is called the Demon Overlord because he kicks the crap out of Demon Lords like they were nothing. And you can see he ain't much bigger than a Space Marine. He is bigger, but he's bigger than a Primaris too. But, you know, it's like, dude, he's a freaking beast. He can grab a Demon Overlord a Demon Lord by his head and just rip it off because he's just that cool. And that's because he's my personal chapter, so get over it. Anyway, that's all I got to say about the Games Workshop miniatures, the 40K ones at least. So yeah, I would recommend it. If you're a 40K fan, you already buy them. Yeah, keep buying them, guys. I mean, the price is just going to go up on them because GW does their thing. So, or, you know, if you don't, I would definitely say, personally, I don't recommend, only because I know I like my money. I know you probably like your money, especially in these hard times of COVID and stuff. Some people are a little bit harder on their cash. So, you know, it's better to get more value. I prefer the Whiz Kids. I prefer the Reaper Bones. I prefer those interesting side games where you're getting something really cool for the money. Not that I pay $50 to $60 for 4 guys. Just 4 Space Marines. It's like, okay. Like, are they anything special? No, they're just like, you know, a simpler, slightly beefier Marine. Well, I'm not... Don't take my money because I'm not buying it. I gotta be honest. But they are cool. Don't get me wrong. These minis are badass. They are really cool. Just the the value is not there to match it, unfortunately. Well, anyway, guys, if you made this far in the video, I definitely thank you, and I welcome any new viewers to the channel, as well as welcome back to my lovely loyalty viewers. Anyway, guys, if you have not, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Helps out a lot, and make sure you sling that notification bell to the all so you're not missing out on any content, and you're also keeping updated or any more of my guide to miniatures. And on top of that, guys, in this case, I guess, and stomp that like button with his great authoritative Space Marine boot. Or I guess in the Tyranid case, since there's Tyranids here, you could also corruptively Tyranid consume the like button. Weird. And guys, throw any comments, questions, concerns down below. If you have any ideas you want to throw out there, go ahead. I'll make sure I answer back, or I'll take a look at them. Anyway, guys, have a great one. Hope to see you next time, and bye-bye.